right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ed Barton. I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at fusionZONE Automotive, and I'm pleased to be able to bring to you today a fantastic panel of experts, two of which I've had an opportunity to work with over the course of the last couple of years, and introduce to you a free upgrade that's coming to our advanced SEO customers as part of their enhanced package. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Silva, who's our Vice President of Digital here at fusionZONE, and Kristen Judd, who's a Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of 3Birds, to describe to you how your advanced SEO works, the new enhancement that's coming, and what you need to do in order to make that happen. Mike?
All right, so a little bit of background on our SEO offering as it exists today. Of course, you've gotten the intro of all of the players and who will be presenting today. So we'll go ahead and dive right into SEO with fusionZONE. So as it stands today, we look at three crucial elements to drive organic leads back to our partners' websites. The first of those being technical SEO. I like you to think about this as almost the GPS coordinates for the content on your website. Technical SEO is going to help Google and other crawlers find the content on your website that matches most closely with search queries from users and visitors, people who are interested in pursuing a purchase. It also is going to help with any kind of algorithm updates. You know, Google is, of course, notorious for rolling out plenty of updates, whether it involves data, privacy concerns, whatever the case may be. This is essentially our response to that. Technical SEO, we look to cross T's, dot I's, make sure that your website is doing all that it can be, doing all that it can do to guide their user towards a conversion. Now, while it is, one of the tent poles of our SEO, it is limited on its own. Consider if you don't have any content on your site. GPS coordinates without a destination, it's like having a treasure map with no treasure at the end of the search. Additionally, how do you lure traffic? Technical SEO will help guide, but it doesn't necessarily attract visitors to your website. So we also look at local SEO. Local SEO is our response to winning your backyard, essentially that right now search that people are looking for directions to your business, looking up name, address, phone number. You can look at this as any kind of online directory, any local listing. Think of it almost as yellow pages online. You've got your Google My Business, you've got Yelp, you've got Apple Maps, all the different map packs, all the different places that basically drop a pin and say, we are here. And that's exactly what the local SEO does. It drops a pin, it shows all of your intenders exactly where your business is for sales, service, or any other kind of commercial needs. Similar to technical SEO, it's one of our foundational pieces, but it is limited on its own. It'll help you win those right now backyard searches, but what if you want to extend beyond your backyard? What if you want to pull people in outside of your primary marketing area? And additionally, local SEO is really strong at bringing in people who are ready to buy right now. But what if you want to catch people earlier in their search and when they're still in that discovery information gathering phase? Well, that's where the last piece of our current SEO offering comes into play, and that is going to be the actual on-site content. I like to say this is the meat and potatoes, right? This is going to signal your in-market traffic. This is going to help you win those high and low funnel searches. So whether people are searching for something early on in the beginning of their buying journey or they're ready to purchase right away, this is essentially us matching those search queries and keywords directly into on-site content so that we're making a match there. It's essentially going to inform those people who are early in their buying journey, and it's also going to guide people into becoming a lead and ultimately a purchase. But Much like technical SEO, much like local SEO, these are all gears that work into each other and it's limited on its own. If you have great content, but your technical SEO isn't really doing its job, it's kind of like having a great hotel with no roads in. How is anybody going to discover your content? Additionally, what if users are relying on GMB for directions and they're not going to your website? They're just looking at what they're able to find on, a map pack. So that's why all three of these components feed into each other to give us what we know as our SEO product today. So again, we've got our GPS coordinates with technical SEO guiding people to the on-site content. The content itself works in the keywords based on search queries that qualifies that traffic and guides people towards that path to purchase. We've got our local SEO, attracts that right now search, brings people in ready to navigate to your business right then and there. But we kind of looked at it and said, okay, we feel really good about what our SEO is today, but just like anybody else, we want more. And we kind of posed a couple of different questions on, what more might be or what that might look like. So questions like, how do we bring in more traffic? How do we bring additional users to your website, more visitors? What do we do about data or privacy? Whether it's CCPA, GDPR, HEC, insert your acronym here that has to do with data privacy. What is our response? What more can we do for SEO? How do we retain our audience once we have their attention? How do we keep that staying power and keep that attention share? And how do we nurture leads on a more one-to-one intimate basis? So to all of that, I will go ahead and segue over to Kristen because she's going to get into exactly what's the answer to those questions, exactly what that is.
Thanks, Mike. That was a really great crash course in SEO for everyone. So clearly, if you're doing the three things that Mike has talked about, or if you have the fusionZONE SEO package, you got your SEO handled. You've addressed those three crucial elements of organic SEO. But as Mike mentioned, now more than ever, we're all looking for that edge, aren't we? We're looking for the little extra that can distinguish us and give us a little bit more of a boost and a leg up on the competition. So what else can we do? Well, at the end of the day, all of these components of your digital strategy are geared towards driving traffic to your website and then generating engagement. So now more than ever, your website is your virtual dealership. We've been saying that for quite some time, but especially when people were locked up inside, having your virtual showroom be in great shape and being able to drive traffic there to that backstop is really critical. So we all know, you hear these statistics all the time. Almost every single car buyer today starts their research process by conducting research online. So they're looking for what model, what make, what dealerships close to them, what do the reviews have to say. Our goal as your marketing partners is to get your dealership consideration and to get the customers to your website, to keep the customers you do have engaged with your dealership online, so online will become in person. And the center of this ecosystem that's being created here is your well-optimized website. So as Mike mentioned, it contains the content that today's consumers are searching for, the kind of high quality content they're seeking. It's designed to reduce friction and provide an outstanding digital consumer experience. And it does a good job of merchandising your inventory and your services. And with this foundation in place, then the strategy is about driving high quality traffic to your site, getting them to engage there, convert into a lead, and then they'll be able to come in and transact business with your dealership. And there are lots of ways to drive this traffic to your website. We talked about the organic SEO, there's paid search, there's paid social ads, but hands down, the most effective and cost-efficient way of driving traffic and generating engagement on your website is email. So you might have expected me to say something different. I know, email, right? It's been around for a while. Lots of people don't think email is particularly sexy. I happen to. It's been declared dead many times over, but the reports of its death have been widely overstated. It's often unfairly dismissed as old school in light of more modern tactics like social or retargeting or geofencing or AI or whatever we're talking about at the most recent automotive conference. But the fact of the matter is it remains a reliable workhorse, and it deserves a place in your digital marketing strategy because it is the most effective, scalable, and cost-efficient digital marketing strategy. We have 4 billion people using email every day, and that number is only going to keep going up. It's not something that we're seeing become less significant. More than 3/4 of all marketers across industries have noted an increase in email engagement in just the last year. And 80% of marketers are reporting that they'd rather, if they were made to choose, they'd rather stop using social than stop using email as a component of their strategy. But what could possibly be sexier than a tool in your arsenal that delivers a 4,200% return on investment? So for every dollar that you spend on email, you're going to see a $42 return on that investment. And it doesn't get much better than that. Of course, mobile is a component of that. Mobile email use continues to rise. It's been on the rise, and it will continue to rise. 2/3 of all email users are opening emails on a mobile device, but 1 in 5 of those of the email campaigns that we all receive is not optimized for mobile. So it's not thumb friendly. It doesn't render well. It's difficult to take action on it. So it's great to get the emails out, but if people are reading them on mobile, which we know we all are, I know I have my phone in my lap right now, but if it's not optimized for mobile, you're going to miss out on that opportunity. So you definitely don't want to be that 1 in 5. So sometimes I will pose the question, what is the one piece of content or communication that's appropriate for everyone in your database that you could send to your prospects, your sold customers, and your service customers across the board? And oftentimes dealers will scratch their head and they'll say, gosh, I'm not sure what one piece of content would be appropriate for all of those different audiences, let alone all the subgroups within there. The answer to that question is an email newsletter or a digital newsletter. A newsletter includes something for everyone, no matter where they are in the vehicle journey or the vehicle life cycle or the customer journey. It has content that if it catches one of your customers, your prospects, when they have a current automotive need, it'll be timely and relevant, and they'll be able to act on that. Maybe they're going to click on a service coupon or look at your service offers. There'll be vehicle reviews. So maybe if they're kind of thinking about coming back into market, it's a great opportunity to check out new model releases or reviews of vehicles that they were kind of interested in, and be able to kind of bring them back into that purchase cycle. It's going to have targeted trade-in solicitations, but it's also going to contain quality content, even if it's reaching your customers and your prospects between an automotive need. So it helps to keep your dealership top of mind. And that makes it one of the best ways to nurture your leads and retain your customers. It has an incredibly high engagement rate, higher than other types of marketing, because it really is that softer touch, and it has the varied content that's appropriate for everyone. And it drives more conversions than search or social. And if you think about the value of retaining your customers, I mean, let's just think about what you pay for a third-party lead. How long are they really being worked in your store? What is the long-term follow-up versus the kind of engagement that you're getting from them? This is another way to make sure that appropriate communications going out, and that you could be following up with those customers, even if they aren't necessarily on the same sales cycle that you'd like for them to be. And then from a retention standpoint, it costs 25 times as much to acquire a new customer as it does to retain an existing one. So adding a component to your communication strategy, which is that light touch on the shoulder for your customer base, month in, month out, is a really good component or a good strategy for retaining those customers. There's lots of things that are not in your control. Mike talked about that too. We can't control Google algorithm changes, or if Google decides to take away third-party cookies, but there's lots of things that you can control. And part of that is your organic infrastructure with your organic SEO component, but it's also the way that you communicate with your customers and what you do to enrich your database and your own first-party data. So this is one way that you can invest in yourself. You can invest in your dealership, invest in your digital presence, and invest in your data. So enter the Three Birds email newsletter. So the email newsletter was always our foundational product. It was the very first offering we had when we first started the company. And when we think about it, I mean, I think about the email that I receive all of the time. We set about with our newsletter to be one of those communications that people look forward to receiving. We all get piles of email, but you can probably pause for a moment and think to yourself, there's some emails that I receive on a regular basis that are just better than others that I almost look forward to receiving. And that's what your newsletter is designed to do as well. Again, it has the content that's appropriate for everyone. And it's a great way of gauging where everyone is based upon their demonstrated interest. So is somebody who just bought looking at inventory again? That's interesting. Is somebody looking at vehicle reviews because they might be coming back into market? It has all the quality content that people would be seeking. So it has automotive reviews, it has sneak peeks, it has service tips, it might have buying guides, it's going to have sales offers and service specials, it's going to have deep linkage back to your website to drive traffic there. It's going to contain key calls to action to get people back to your website. And it's also going to contain some lifestyle content for those times we talked about between automotive needs. So it's still something of value without immediately expecting something in return, but it will pay you dividends over time because it's going to keep you on your customers' minds and help them to remember that you're where they service or you're where they purchase. So when they have that automotive need, you immediately come to mind. Of course, it's brand compliant and it's mobile optimized as well. It's designed to help you connect, to generate engagement and re-engagement, and it informs your future marketing and it drives web, phone, and foot traffic to your dealership. So let's take a look at the performance, the strong performance that we've been observing in some of the fusionZONE early adopters to the program. So you can see here an example of what one of the newsletters for a fusionZONE SEO package customer looked like. We all know that automotive can be a little bit challenging, thinking about what kind of content to put in front of people, how can we get them to engage with the dealership. So just for frame of reference, across all industries, the average open rate is about 19.8%. That's a constant contact statistic. So when we see that this Acura dealer's open rate exceeded 23%, that's tremendous. And then the average click rate is very strong. So that's telling you of the people who open, what percentage went on to engage with the dealership by interacting with content. But the exciting thing is looking at the items that generated the most click activity. So upgrade to your next Acura. That's really great to know people are thinking about upgrading and they're going back over and looking at your inventory. Checking out service specials by clicking on that banner, and then reading vehicle reviews. So these are all the kind of key calls to action or components that you want to see your customers interacting with. So apart from that kind of open and click data and email performance data, we have great third-party confirmation in terms of the Google Analytics. And we see very strong standout performance. Let's keep in mind that this is a newsletter that's going out once a month. And so by virtue of sending this newsletter once a month, it's already become a top 10 source of referral traffic for this dealer. It's number 8 to be exact. But one of the other really important headlines here is that 88% of the users who went over to your website or this dealer's website are new users. And what that means in Google parlance is that those people have not engaged with your dealership's website in more than 90 days. So these are your customers. We're sending the newsletter to your customers and your prospects, people who have a pre-existing relationship with the dealership, but then they haven't been on your site. So we're getting them back over to your virtual showroom so that they can convert, hopefully, or they can be engaging and moving further down the path to purchase or the path to service.
So now you can see we have added a 4th crucial element to our organic traffic, our SEO offering. To go with technical SEO, local SEO, and the content side of things, we've added the newsletter. So again, 4th element to driving organic leads back to your website. So just to kind of reiterate and reemphasize some of those main points that Kristen brought up, the e-newsletter can email customers and prospects alike with tailored content and act now calls to action. So nice mix of some transactional items with sales or service promotions, but also consumer reviews, what's happening at your dealership, a little bit more of a brand and personality capture of your dealership put in front of your customers and prospects. Works alongside keyword content as a lead magnet, something to bring traffic back to your website. Best of all, it helps throughout each cycle of the path to purchase. You can win shoppers early when they're still in their information gathering and discovery phase. You can win people lower in the funnel, intenders who are ready to buy or service now. And you can also retain and reactivate customers in the post-buying cycle. As Kristen laid out, might be somebody who recently purchased, but they're already looking to upgrade or looking to check out some reviews. Maybe somebody else in the household has some vehicle needs. So it helps out through each of those phases, both through purchase and post-purchase. So again, why e-newsletter for SEO? Well, the subdomain that the newsletter will live on almost acts as a blog or a referring site, offsite, will help on the SEO standpoint specifically. Also, newsletter creates a direct channel of marketing. It's one-to-one, but there's also the door open for reciprocity. You can reply and engage right there in your inbox. It attracts additional high-quality website traffic, not just what you're going to get from local SEO or from your content. You're also going to get a strong representation, as Kristen showed in that example earlier, could be a top 10 source for you for website traffic. It's a response to privacy concerns. This uses first-party data from your CRM. So, no worries about how you were able to get that list or who handed that list over to you. This is coming directly from your CRM. So it's first-party, no worries at all when it comes to privacy. And then last but not least, this is an attention share retention tool. So it's now more important than ever with inventory challenges and supply chain challenges. Retaining your audience, keeping your customers is going to be far more fruitful than going after conquesting new customers. Keeps you top of mind for your customers and your prospects. So when it is time for them to service their vehicle, trade in their vehicle, browse your inventory, you should be the first one that comes to mind. They're looking forward to that email coming from your dealership. From a brand standpoint, it gives you that staying power and keeps you top of mind for your customers. And then, as I mentioned, retention is going to be far more cost effective than conquest, 25 times as cost effective to be exact. So for all these reasons, we've added our fourth tool to our organic leads and SEO offering: technical SEO, local SEO, content, and now, last but not least, the newsletter, which meant to attract and retain audiences on a one-to-one level. So here you have it, our 4 crucial elements of organic SEO, organic lead gen to your website. And to that, I'll hand it back over to Ed to wrap us up.
Thanks so much, Mike and Kristen. I want to tell you now how excited I am to be able to offer this to all of our existing FZA Digital and fusionZONE advanced SEO and premium enhanced digital package customers included for no additional cost as part of your existing packages. For everybody who is currently in those packages, over the next several weeks, we will begin rolling out the blog portion or the subdomain portion that Mike just talked about to each of your websites. Again, as Kristen noted, it's going to be completely OEM compliant. It's going to provide a bunch of SEO juice to be able to drive additional traffic to your website and a bunch of significant and relevant content for Google and other search engines to be able to index and drive additional organic traffic over to you. The email portion is absolutely critical. I would challenge anyone who's been on this webinar to raise your hand if you did not at least once check your phone or check your email during the time that one of us were talking, because I'll bet you did. I did, and I'm sure most of you guys did too. The email piece is absolutely critical. And in order to get the email integration, we're going to need to integrate with your CRM. Again, no additional cost to you. And we can do this not only for our existing customers on advanced SEO and the premium digital packages through SEA Digital. We could do this for pretty much every OEM, whether they're in program or not. And you may be able to qualify for digital co-op based upon the fact that it's got the email marketing component and the SEO component. So if you're interested in this for other dealerships or other rooftops besides the ones that you're signed up with for us today, please contact Mike, please contact me, reach out to fusionZONE, and we'll be happy to get you set up and handle the SEO and newsletters for your other rooftops. For those that are on our existing packages today, like I said, you'll be getting those set up automatically for you. The blog piece, subdomain piece will be set up over the next several weeks. And then the email piece, the performance manager, one of our implementation folks will be reaching out to you to determine if you want to have the email hooked up. I would strongly encourage you to do it. It's included to be able to drive your marketing. If you have any questions or any additional follow-up information, please reach out to us and we will happily jump in and make sure that this is working perfectly for you. It's a great product. We're excited to be partnering with Three Birds, and look forward to driving additional website traffic, additional sales, and additional ROs into your dealership here in 2022.